Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the channel! In today's video, we are reviewing the Zoids high-end master model Liga Zero Panzer from Kotobukiya. This kit was released in July of 2012, with the Marking Plus version being released in May 2019. Mine is from the older 2012 version, costing me 5,840 yen. And if you're wondering what's the difference between this and the Marking Plus version, a lot of the older kits do come with unique pilot figures that come painted. In this case, you get a painted figure of Bit Cloud, and it only comes with 2 water slides. I don't have the Marking Plus version, but it does come with a lot of water slide decals and a generic pilot figure. Sadly, Kotobukiya no longer includes painted pilot figures for the re-released kits such as the Marking Plus versions. Otherwise, everything else is the same. At least in terms of build, I'm not entirely sure how the Marking Plus version's quality are, because older Zoid kits do tend to be kinda temperamental. But I digress, let's start the review. Unfortunately, I didn't keep the box for this kit, but it shares the exact same box art as the Marking Plus and is pretty much just blowing its load everywhere. And that's exactly what you would like to see. The Panzer unit is the last CAS you see in Zoids New Century Zero. CAS means Change Armor System, of which the Liga Zero has, in this anime series, 3 of. There's also the Liga Zero X, another CAS, but that appears in another Zoid series. And if you want me to review that, let me know in the comments below. And this here Panzer is a complete straight build right from the box. No decals, no pan lining. Do plan on painting it one day, I always say that. Whether that actually manifests, who knows. And as we can see, the Liga Zero has put on quite a bit of weight. The Panzer CAS has added a lot of mass onto the original Liga frame. The CAS comes in a 2-tone green for a lot of the armor pieces, and it comes with a good amount of surface level detail with a lot of panel lining opportunities. Something that would definitely improve the appearance of this kit. And as design goes, I'm a huge fan of it. It essentially makes the Liga Zero into a giant weapons platform. Because if you like weaponry, this kit has got loads of it. The 2 giant cannons on its back is a definite eye catcher. But to truly appreciate the design, all hidden compartments and missile pods should be open. Because ultimately, this is the only way it should be displayed, just like how the box art intended. And like all Zoid kits, a lot of good mechanical elements found throughout the kit. Absolutely love those stabilizers that drop from the back legs. And when posed like this, it just looks absolutely badass. My second favorite CAS, after the Schneider of course. Only issue I have with the kit is I do find the color a little flat. The 2-tone green don't really stand out as much, and the grays on the weaponry need some more colored part separation. Not a design issue, just you can always improve it with a good paint job. But even as a straight build, it still looks pretty friggin' good. But we know whenever there's a lot of bulk onto a kit, it always affects articulation. Let's see if the Panzer suffers from this. Starting with the head. First thing, the canopy can open and close, revealing the pilot figure of Bit Cloud, all painted up. The fins here on the side of the heads are able to move in and out. Then we move on to the mouth, which can open and close. The fin on the head is also able to move up and down, which makes it look pretty funny. This piece over here, which I would identify as the ear, is able to rotate ever so slightly up and down. All that armor piece on the face does get in the way. And like all Liga Zeros, there is a fin underneath the chin, which is also able to move up and down. The entire head is able to tilt up and down this far, as can the base of the neck. The head is able to move side to side this far, and rotation is going to be very limited due to the armor on the back and the head. Coming on to the forelimbs, we have this much of an abduction and adduction, which still retains a pretty good range of motion. Same can be said about the internal-external rotation of the shoulder. A 360 rotation is also possible, but as you can see, things do get in the way. Coming onto the shoulder armor over here, it's able to rotate forward and back. As you can see from the extra armaments, it does add a lot of bulk onto the limbs. You can see there's a wide variety of missile pods, which can be hidden underneath all these movable parts. Got 2 sets of missiles on the top over here, which are at least easy to move, though same can't be said about this missile pod on the side. Though it looks very cool, the moment you push it back in, yeah, it gets kinda stuck. Not too much of a headache, but still kind of annoying. But a very cool design nonetheless. Next up, we got a missile pod in the front of the shoulder, which I couldn't open with my fingers at all, so here's some tweezers. Yeah, the excessive amount of weaponry doesn't really stop here either. Only issue here is the piece is in gray. It would definitely benefit from a good paint job. Coming down to the elbow joint, it has this much of an extension and flexion. And it has pretty good range of motion considering none of the armor gets in the way. And moving down, we of course got some more missiles, which can be hidden under the hatch. As for the paws, it could bend and extend this much. And both the 360 and side to side pivot is possible. Now coming to the body, as you can see the Zoid core is already coming out. It's quite loose on my Panzer, only being held back by the fin underneath the chin. But yeah, like all Zoids, we got a Zoid core right over here. It's supposed to fit in like so, but the connection isn't that strong. On the other side, I'm not sure if this is a cannon or just something that shoots missiles, but it has very minimal articulation, small side to side movement, and barely an up and down. Now moving on to the top part of the body, we got some more missiles. And the missile pod door can open and close, you just gotta move the head out of the way. Funny enough, the way it's positioned, if it was to shoot out, some of the missiles would hit the back of the head. Additionally, there is a radar dish, well that's what I think it is, that is kinda hidden, which is able to flip up like so. And now we move on to the giant cannons. The base of the cannon does have 2 hinge joints, allowing the cannons to be positioned in various angles, each joint pretty much allowing a 90-degree range of motion. And you'll be happy to know that the connection is pretty tight, which means the cannons can actually hold their positions without drooping down. The cannons are able to rotate up and down, allowing more firing positions. There's also an interesting extra over here where you could pull off the back of the magazine and you can actually see the artillery shells inside. And lastly, the cannons are able to extend and retract. So yeah, there's quite a bit of articulation just for the cannons and they're pretty fun to play around with. Coming to the side of the body, the fins that are generally here for the Liger Zero is replaced with, well you guessed it, more missiles. It sits on a hinge and it's able to extend and retract. As can the torso and lower body. Kinda stiff, but it's always good to have because it gives more articulation for the body. In this case, extending it allows it to side bend, and despite all the bulk, still allows it to have a back extension and ab crunch. And when you think you're done, there's still some more weaponry on the body. We got some missile pods located near its butt, with the hatches being able to open up this wide. Just be a bit careful because the hatch can fall off. Now we move on to the hind legs, which could abduct this far. 360 rotation is possible, but like I said, the armor pits do get in the way. You could probably still do it, but things will probably fly off. The hip joint allows this much of an external-internal rotation. Similar to the shoulder armor, the hip armor does have an excessive amount of missiles. The missiles on the side are able to move just like the one on the shoulder armor. And like the shoulder, I'm going to need tweezers to open up the forward-facing missile pods. In contrast, the missiles up here are at least easier to open and close. And similar to the shoulder armor, the hip armor is also able to rotate forward and back. The knee is able to bend with a good range of motion, and is still one of the stiffer joints on the kit, as is the ankle, as you can hear. The ankles are able to extend and bend this far back, and the rear paws have the exact same articulation as the front paws. Great range of motion for extension and flexion. There's a side-to-side pivot and 360 rotation. Lastly, located behind the ankles, we do have these stabilizers that are able to flip down, containing 2 points of articulation, a very cool design that the Panzer definitely needs to help support it when it fires those giant cannons. Lastly, we come to the tail, which does have the tendency of falling off. And aside from the tip of the tail, there's nothing new here. It's the exact same tail design as the other Liger Zeros. Made up of multiple segments, with some of the segments allowing 360 range of motion. It also contains hinge joints, with this stupid thing coming apart quite often. But they do allow a very sharp, unnatural bend to the tail, which is kinda useful if your cabinet is small. Now for the Panzer exclusive, the tip of the tail contains extra weaponry. There are Gatling guns on the side of the tail which are able to 360 rotate, and of course that's not enough, so you have some more missiles. A little bit excessive, but I absolutely love it. And that's it for articulation. Despite the age of the kit, it still has held out pretty decently. There's still a noticeable amount of joint degradation, leading to pieces falling off, especially with constant movement. But that's just the case of early Zoid syndrome. It really isn't that bad, as you can see from the shake test. It's already holding out better than the shield and blade Liger. Not perfect, parts will inevitably fall off just because it is an old kit, but it did pretty well for the shake test, so it can't be that bad. Not too much headaches here. And though some of the bulky armor pieces does get in the way, overall posing this kit isn't too difficult, and that it actually holds its poses. As for extras and accessories, there is none. Everything's already on the kit. But if you want to put on an aerial pose, there is a socket underneath the underbelly over here. So get yourself a display base. I'm using the MSG Flying Neo base from Kotobukiya. There's no shot that the Panzer can actually jump, because it could barely walk in the anime. Personally, I prefer ground poses for the Panzer, but it's nice having options. Now if you're wondering for dimensions, including the tail being all the way up like this, it's around 10 inches, around 25 centimeters, and lengthwise it's around 14 inches, roughly around 35 centimeters give or take. As for size comparison, here it is next to the entry grade X72, master grade X72, the Origin. Then we got the high-end master model Lightning Sykes Irvine Special, which is roughly the same size. Then we got the Shensing Technology White Tiger, and we got Haro, DK, Doraemon, Zodiac Gundam Rat, some Pikachus, and a rubber ducky. As for shelf space, it is a high-end master model Zoid, a pretty decent sized one, so it's going to take up a bit of real estate. And next to the other Ligers, it just fits perfectly while still being eye-catching. So concludes the review of the last Liger Zero CES that appeared in New Century Zero. So what are my final thoughts? Is this worth it? Should you get this? Keep in mind, my opinion is extremely biased. I absolutely love the Liger Zero, so I had to get this kit for the collection. but as a standalone kit, I find the Panzer's design very unique. The color and appearance is quite eye-catching, and all those weapons on the back definitely helps. Articulation is pretty good, but putting it in some poses may be a bit difficult because of how bulky the armor is. It wasn't a difficult build. If you've built any of the Liger Zeros before, it's pretty much the same thing, just with a little bit more extra armor bits. But keep in mind, it is based off of an old design, so some parts do get loose over time. Wasn't too much of a big headache to handle the kit, but it is a bit delicate. And unless you desperately need the painted figure of Big Cloud, you could just get the Marking Plus, save you a bunch of money, and you'll get more decals. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. I apologize for the slow releases. Work has been quite busy. Currently I don't know what my next Zoid review will be, so if you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye.